Have you ever taken a moment to think or look at that 13-year-old child and have that feeling of innocence, wishing that you could play like that again, or having that sense of relief, not feeling the responsibility of the day-to-day life? Think again, because not all 13-year-old children have that ability. I'm sure that as a young child, we all had certain responsibilities in the home. Dishes, making your bed, getting dressed for the day, little things. But maybe sometimes we need to take a step back and consider that not all 13, 12, 14-year-old children have the opportunity to have the simple responsibilities that a normal child would have. I'm going to take you back into my childhood, where there were years of responsibility put on me that I had no control over. And these were not 13-year-old responsibilities. These responsibilities ultimately changed my life forever. We're going to take you back to the years prior, probably 1 year prior to my parents' divorce. They had 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 boy. My mother and father had their hands absolutely full. My 2 younger sisters at the time were 6 and 2. And there was complete and total dismay in my household. My parents did not get along, and they made sure that we knew it. At myself being 11 and my brother being 12, we were not oblivious to the situation. My younger sisters, on the other hand, they weren't exactly abreast of the situation. Being that the impact of the arguments and separation truly affected me, they ended up with long-lasting effects. My brother was not mentally capable of handling the situation or understanding it, so he did not feel those effects. I then became the oldest of all 4 of us, mentally, not by age. Due to the continuing war between my parents, the divorce became a reality the year after. That was when my parents finalized their divorce. I was 13, actually 12 at the time. I was 12 years old at the time that my parents finalized that divorce. Originally, I was happy and excited. I was thrilled. My parents could have their own places, the own things that they could take care of, and they would kind of be out of each other's way because the fighting was getting out of control. But due to being single parents with 4 children, the adult responsibilities started to be thrown away onto people other than the parents. My mom slowly began to slip out of the picture as work became more important for her, and her children ended up at my father's house most of the time. My father worked long hours. He was constantly gone. Unknowingly, my father had instilled or given responsibility to me that was more of a mother figure. I ended up dressing my sisters for school, making sure they were awake on time, making sure their lunches were ready to go. The long-term effects of these responsibilities changed my life. Later on, as I grew up, I realized this. As I got older, about 16 or 17, the responsibilities continued to get more and more. I was the first one up in the morning. I was making my father's lunch. I was making the girls' lunch. I was making them ready for school, driving them to school, picking them up, making sure I was home to make dinner before my father got home. That way when he got home, he could just eat and we could all, I kept the home functional. Due to the stress of these responsibilities, I ended up dropping out of high school. To me, the more important thing was to make sure my family was intact. I simply thought that being a mother figure to my siblings was the most important thing in my teen years. Now that I'm 29 years old and I'm an adult, I realize I was completely robbed of my childhood. It's hard now to look at a child of young years and think that they're completely and totally innocent. But the truth is that you don't know what's going on in their home, and and you don't know what is being instilled upon them. My parents had to take it one step further, and instead of just fighting in front of us, they gave the responsibility of parenthood to me. So instead of looking at that child and thinking, I wish I could be that innocent and and young child who plays around on their bike or in the schoolyard, but instead I look at them and I wonder, when they're acting out or when they're having a hard time, what's really going on in their home life. And I take a moment to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to think the same thing when you see those teenagers, and instead of getting upset or angry, let's make sure that we understand that no child can control what goes on in their own home.